Diffusion is a movement of sodium chloride molecules from a high concentration, which is the inner part, to the low concentration. So after the particle moves, the concentration of the outer cell and the inner cell is equal. And osmosis is similar to diffusion, but it is the movement of water molecules. So if there's a high concentration of sodium chloride inside the cell and low concentration of H2O inside the cell, the water molecules will move inside the cell so that the concentration inside the cell and outside the cell becomes equal. And next is facilitated diffusion. It is the kind of movement that uses protein channels. So some molecules can't move through diffusion easily, so there are protein channels to help movement of molecules. So some molecules move through these protein channels, and this doesn't require any energy and it is a passive transport. Isotonic, hypertonic, and hypotonic. Isotonic is where the concentration of the cell and the outer cell is equal, so the water moves in and out, so the size of the cell doesn't change. But if a cell is in a hypertonic solution, the concentration of sodium chloride is higher out of the cell, so the water will go out of the cell and make the cell like crippled and shrink. But if the cell is in a hypotonic solution, the cell has a higher concentration inside the cell because it is in a hypotonic solution. So the water molecules will move inside the cell, which will dilate the cell and make it bigger, like this. Next is sodium and potassium pump. Sodium and potassium pump is sodium and potassium pump is a kind of an active transport, so it moves sodium and potassium from a lower concentration to a high concentration. It requires an energy in a form of ATP. And endocytosis. Endocytosis is a process of cell basically absorbing another particle. So first there's a particle in a cell, and the cell engulfs the particle, and the cell breaks it down inside this. The cell breaks the particle down inside itself. Penocytosis in particularly is a kind of endocytosis, but it breaks down liquid. And in phagocytosis, it breaks down bigger molecules like cells. It literally means cell eating. The cell by phagocytosis in our body, it does a big role on our immune system. In exocytosis, it is the opposite of endocytosis. It it makes the particles go out of the cell, so it moves slowly to the membrane and it finally goes out and is covered with vesicles. So diffusion is a kind of passive transport which doesn't require any energy, no ATP. Osmosis is also a kind of passive transport which doesn't require ATP. Facilitated diffusion, it is passive transport. It's just as through protein channels. And sodium and potassium pump, these are active transports which require ATP.